This is Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert, a NASCAR podcast. So much action to break down from the weekend. Had to do 2 episodes. This is part 2. This one will cover all the Cup Series action from last weekend at Talladega. With the playoffs coming to a close so soon in 2 weeks, drivers will need to turn it up or not have a chance at the championship in Phoenix. Yellow flag, green flag, Fast Davey's bets, predictions for Martinsville, paint scheme of the week, exclusive Splash of Gas interview with Hendrick Motorsports development driver Corey Day, and so much more on this episode of Splash of Gas. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, aka Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He will be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek and on-track updates. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are all Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Jumping right into it, the Cup Series recap from Talladega. Cup Series would be going strong for 500 miles in a playoff race at the final superspeedway race of the 2025 season. Drivers would be ready to put it all on the line, as playoff drivers have a spot in the final 4 up for grabs. Michael McDowell would win the pole and start up front alongside Chase Briscoe once the race went green. McDowell would lead, then a mix of drivers including Josh Berry, Kyle Busch, and Ryan Preece would all take turns at the front spot. After the round of green flag pit stops concluded, AJ Allmendinger would be leading as Noah Gragson and Joey Logano battle for second. 2 laps later, the first yellow would fly when Gragson would get spun by Eric Jones, collecting Justin Haley, Allmendinger, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Austin Cindric, plus playoff driver Chase Elliott, putting him farther down in the standings. Joey Logano and Ty Gibbs restart for a sprint to the end of the first stage. After getting a jump, Ty Gibbs would score the Stage 1 win. Ty Dillon and Chris Buescher restart up front to start the second stage, which would see 3-wide racing for a number of different drivers taking the lead. The yellow flag would fly late in the stage when SVG would be entering pit road. He would hit some water and slide into the grass. Chase Briscoe and Carson Hocevar would be on the front for the following restart. Kyle Larson would make a surge, but Briscoe would hold him off and win Stage 2. John Hunter Nemechek and Kyle Busch start up front for the third and final stage. 1 yellow for Cody Ware would fly in the middle of the stage. After the restart, Todd Gilliland would be able to lead. As the laps counted down, Buescher and William Byron would be running 1 and 2 with the rest of the pack on their heels. On lap 187, the push from Byron would be too much for Buescher, sending him spinning, ending his chances at a good finish. This will put the race into overtime. Teammates and playoff drivers of Kyle Larson and William Byron restart up front. On the last lap, Larson would run out of gas. Chase Briscoe would dive underneath Bubba Wallace and take the lead in turn 3. Byron goes spinning as they cross the start-finish line the final time. Chase Briscoe is victorious in Talladega and wins, locking himself into the championship 4. Congrats to Chase and that entire 19 team. Now for trivia question time. This episode's question is, the first race ever at Martinsville was held in 1947. Who won that first race? Answer coming at the end. Predictions, look back, Cup Series Talladega. Cup, I went with Willie B. He crashes at the end as well, finishes 25th. In the spring for Talladega, I got both Xfinity and Cup predictions for the winners correct. In the fall, trucks, Xfinity, and Cup, everyone I chose crashed. That's Dega for you. Yellow flag, green flag. Cup, yellow. Yellow to Chase Elliott. Poor guy just can't catch a break with back-to-back crashes. This puts Chase in a must-win scenario in Martinsville if he wants a chance at the championship for the following weekend. Cup Series, green. Chase Briscoe. Crazy to think how far he has come in his NASCAR career. And now he's a chance to run for a championship in the 19. A great opportunity for him will be had at Phoenix. As mentioned in the intro, have Hendrick Motorsports driver Corey Day coming on this episode with primarily being an asphalt fan from the Northeast. Really neat to talk to Corey, who grew up racing on dirt in California. Hope you all enjoy the interview. Here's what Corey had to say. Next guest we bring on the Splash of Gas. We've seen him with top finishes in both the Truck and Xfinity Series this year. Is Corey Day. Thanks for joining the show, Corey.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. You grew up on dirt in your home state of California racing. Myself, being from New Jersey, didn't really see too many dirt tracks. What was that like as a young kid racing on the dirt tracks?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. My dad raced sprint cars in California for 30 years before I started racing. So it's just it was a really cool experience for me going to the races with my dad as a kid. And then when I started racing, I met again, when you're young you don't really remember the people, but I met all the people again, and when I started racing myself, and it's just my childhood was a lot of fun, just racing all the time. Had a lot of good buddies that raced with me, and the tracks in California were a lot of fun too. It's a privilege to get to race such good racetracks at such a young age, and it was just a lot of fun. I look back on my younger years of racing now, and I miss the experience of just being able to race in my home state a lot. So I was very fortunate.
Cool. No, I appreciate you touching upon that. You ran the World of Outlaws for a number of years, including part-time this season. You scored your first win on the tour in 2023 at Silver Dollar, then again last year and this year at Knoxville. How has the your sprint car racing in the World of Outlaws and High Limit Series helped you develop as a driver?
Yeah, I think it's been huge. Those guys are the best in the world at driving sprint cars. So it's been big just to race with the best guys in the world. Last year I ran High Limit full time, and the year before I had a lot of time with the Outlaws, and it's been a big help. When you race against the best guys, you have to elevate yourself to their level, or you don't run good. So it's been good for me from a very young age. I started at my first Outlaw race I was 16, and I just had to raise the bar there really young, and I think that's definitely helped me in my career. Just be able to when I got into racing pavement, once I got the cars figured out and all that, I feel pretty confident to be able to raise my level of driving and everything you need in the car to be able to compete with the guys at the top level. I definitely attribute a lot of it to that.
Cool. I really do appreciate you touching upon that, being a pavement guy from the Northeast. Getting into the dirt world. I appreciate you sharing the light on that. You make your first paved late model start last year with Junior Motorsports at Hickory. You start the year off by signing a multi-year development deal with Hendrick Motorsports. We know the history and resume that Mr. H brings to the table. What has it been like working for him and the entire team there?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like I said, I was 16 and 17 and even 18 just racing sprint cars, and that's all I thought I was ever going to do. And frankly, I was okay with that. My parents didn't have the money to pay for a full pavement season, in any car, but we had enough money to go sprint car racing, and I was fortunate to get picked up by a really good team really early. So up until at the end of 2023 is when I first started talking to everyone at HMS, and ever since then it's just it's all gone by really fast, and everything's happened really fast. But one thing's for sure is everyone at HMS is first class, in every aspect of the company. So I definitely wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Probably wouldn't have said yes to anyone else, to be honest with you. But just with the caliber of people and drivers, and Mr. H just being such a good mentor and boss to all of his employees, it's I think the best place to be for sure.
Cool. Thank you on touching on that. You make 4 truck starts at the end of last year. This season, 9 starts at Spire. In the 7 truck, you have 2 top 5s, including a second place at IRP in July. Took some seat time to find your groove, but in just your 10th start at the Truck Series, you get that 5th place in Nashville. What's helped you find success at the truck level this year?
I think just, having time in the seat, that's been a big thing for me. Just, I didn't run anything full time this year. So, I think I ran like 4 or 5 truck races through the month of March and April. And then after that, I didn't run a truck until the end of the month at Nashville there in May. So, just seat time's been huge. Just trying to get comfortable. When you don't do something week in and week out, it's hard to get in routine, and you're always behind when you show up to the track. All these guys will fire off for lap 1 of practice at full speed because they know what their car is going to do and they know what they need to do. And for me, up until I'd say Vegas in the Xfinity car was a really good day for me from top to bottom, and Nashville for me in the truck was probably the first time that really clicked for me too. So it's just seat time. It's so tough to compete at the national level with little to no seat time, and that's what I've had to do all year. So I feel like I'm finally at the point where I have the seat time, or enough of the seat time, to be in a good spot when it comes to the comfortability factor and all that. So I think that's been the biggest thing for sure.
Cool. You just touched upon the Xfinity finish, or the Xfinity race in Vegas. You have your best Xfinity finish there, coming home 4th. After being 13th in stage 1 and finishing 9th in the second stage, how were you able to work the 17 up to secure that P4 finish?
Yeah, that was, to be honest with you, probably one of the best cars I've ever drove my entire life. It was amazing. Yeah, it did everything I needed it to do, and we were just really, really fast. So a lot of it's that having a really good car makes your job as a driver really easy. And then I for whatever reason I got the pole at Vegas this year in the truck, and had a good run going. And then I felt really comfortable there off the rip, really, in the Xfinity car. So for whatever reason, I guess that place kind of suits me. But then also just, I think, like I said, having a good car and, just finally knowing what I need to do for, how the race is going to play out. And, just learning that's been big. Learning the racecraft side of things been big. Just, a lot of factors played into, having a good day there.
Gotcha. No, appreciate you touching upon that. Definitely sounds like you had a fast piece there. I know, just like you mentioned, Vegas, you were there in the trucks and Xfinity. The longer you run in both of these series, the more tracks you're going to see again. This upcoming Saturday in Martinsville will be the first track you'll be going back to for the second time in the Xfinity seat. After being 21st in March, what are your goals for this go-around in Martinsville?
I just think, I'd love to finish out the season with, 2 more top 10s would be my goal. It is playoffs for all these guys, so I don't want to impede on anyone there. So, I think just, just a good solid day. Clean car. Hopefully a top 10 would be great. Just, it is really, really nice for me to show up and, have been to the track before. That's been a big thing for me this year. Just, there's so much, unknowns for me showing up to a track with the track being different. And then, I'm in a foreign car to me. Just, it's always nice, the few times I've got to do it this year, to be able to go back to a track and, in the same car for one. And, just takes a lot of the unknown factor out of it for me and lets me focus on, the more important things.
Sounds good. I'm going to be heading to Martinsville myself later in this week, so looking forward to heading to Virginia. You mentioned the playoffs. Have you noticed any of the playoff eligible drivers racing you a little bit different compared to the regular season, or seeing the intensity ratchet up?
No, not really. I mean, they're all aggressive with each other, trying to race for every last position, which as they should be. So I've tried to not impede on much of that. Just if playoff guy's behind me and he's faster, I'm probably going to give him a break, compared to a non-playoff guy. So yeah, just, those guys are racing for a lot more than I'm racing for right now. So don't really want to, impede and get the label of, why someone wasn't able to race for a championship or not. So, yeah, it's been, I think it's been fine. They race each other more aggressive than they race me. I'll put it that way.
Okay. I really do appreciate that driver insight on that. Typically ask this next question to drivers about the difference and similarities between the trucks and the cars raced on all three national series. I'm not sure if there's any similarities besides four wheels and a steering wheel, but, any similarities to, the Xfinity car truck to that sprint car that you grew up racing on dirt?
Man, not really, no. They're all just vastly different, and for one, the competition level, for two, the way the car works, with the aero side of things, and just how it feels in the car. The truck has less motor, I guess, you call it, punches a way bigger hole in the air with how tall they are. And they just have a lot more downforce than the Xfinity cars. So, that's a lot different. And then vice versa, the Xfinity car is more power, less downforce. Just races completely different. You can do way different things inside the car to go fast, the same way you can get put in bad spots in either of them. So, it's been, a process to learn that. And then, on the sprint car side of things, you can't really gain an advantage through like the aero standpoint of the sprint car. The only thing is you don't want to follow someone into the corner. You don't want to be in their dirty air. Other than that, you can't, side draft someone and pull them back. You can't, I guess pack air on anyone or do anything like that. So, it's, there's a lot of differences, of course. Dirt and pavement is a big difference in general, but I wouldn't say there's much similarities. No.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. The insight with that is great. I mean, I've only been to like 2 dirt tracks my whole life, so really do appreciate that insight from you. Like I said before we started recording, saw you start the preseason test at ARCA and Daytona, and then Xfinity at Rockingham. Kind of just looping this year in as a whole. I mean, what aspects in your racing craft do you believe you improved since then?
Yeah, I feel like I have, for sure. Just with every aspect, it's just been, it's basically like restarting your career almost for me. I've spent the past 8 years in a sprint car, trying to get good enough to race at the top level. And, now I'm going to spend, hopefully it won't take me 8 years, but I'm going to spend as much time as I need to getting comfortable racing at the top level in a pavement car now. So, it's just, different everywhere. So it's been a big learning curve, but, yeah, I think I've, improved drastically, especially over these past couple months. And yeah, I'm excited for the future.
Awesome. Definitely have a good team backing you for sure during the learning process, just like you said. I know not all your plans for next year, 2026, have come out, but, any early goals for next year for you personally?
I don't want to shoot for the stars or anything, but I'd love to win a race. I was winning, pretty frequently in a dirt car, and I love winning. That's what drives me to want to be better in this sport. So I'd love to win a race. I think that it is possible with how much I've learned and how confident I've gotten over these past couple months. I think that's only going to get more and more next year. So yeah, I think that's a feasible goal. Hopefully at some point next year, and just continuing to learn and just study and be the best version of myself that I can be.
Perfect. Really do appreciate that. Leading right into my next question. I mean, how close do you think you are to that win? I mean, how many more steps do you think you are to getting in victory lane in the Truck Series or Xfinity Series?
It's tough. I'd say it's subjective to the style of track for me. I'd say at Martinsville, or a Martinsville style of track, I'm probably still pretty far away. Just short tracks are very different than, I guess a mile and a half, or, a track where you don't have to use the brake. Just the way you run the race car is way different in the seat. So, yeah, I'd say, I still got a little bit of time to get really good on one of those. But, on the other side of that, I think at the mile and a half stuff and, bigger tracks, I feel like I'm, one or two steps away and, a race going my way to getting one. I think, Vegas, like I said, we had a really good car and, but we had a really bad day on pit road. I lost spots on pit road every time. So I think back and, if I would have gained spots on pit road and, like that last restart there, I restarted like 12th or something. And I, had to drive up to the front. Whereas if I would have restarted 6th, it's a completely different race. So, these races are so long. There's so many variables. That, it can be your day all the way up until 5 to go and something can happen and you're in 20th. So it's, I'd say I'm closer on the mile and a half stuff than I am the short track stuff, but, everything's still got to go your way, no matter if you think you're really close or not.
Gotcha. Got to keep working at it. Really appreciate the time, Corey. Thank you so much for the insight. Safe travels to Martinsville this weekend, and hope to see you in the infield there. All right.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope you all enjoyed that. Had a blast talking to Corey. Now for discussions with Dave. First topic. Are we actually getting closer to Denny Hamlin becoming a champion? I mean, in theory, we are getting closer. He was the first driver to clinch a spot in the championship 4. We have seen drivers, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, in past years, light the NASCAR world on fire. Nearly double-digit wins. Think they're going to be in the championship 4 without a doubt. And that sometimes is not the case. Harvick, he obviously won the championship a number of years before that. With this format and Denny Hamlin, they just can't play well together, it seems like. Something in the playoffs, if it's on-track related, pit road related, something bites Denny Hamlin and he can't advance, or when he does advance, Something gets him and he can't win that championship. We have seen Hall of Fame drivers Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt Jr. not be able to get a championship at the Cup level. Denny is again oh so close of knocking down the door of getting his first championship. At the current moment, will I say Hamlin will win a championship this year? No, I will not. But currently, Denny Hamlin, he does have the best chances to win the championship. People could argue for Chase Briscoe with how hot he's been through the playoffs and in regards to Phoenix. If Denny can be the Denny that he's been recently, been able to silence everyone out when he's in that car and just kill it, he's going to win in Phoenix. He's going to be hosting that championship trophy. As a fan, am I almost wincing, waiting for that moment that's going to take Denny Hamlin out for running in the championship? Yes, I am. It's going to have to wait until Phoenix. He's going to be there. In the end, I'm going to have to see it to believe it. But Denny Hamlin right now has the best chance to win a championship he has had in his career, his entire career at this point. Second topic on discussions with Dave. A lot of talk about the playoff format and possibly making changes to it. Yes, people have posed ideas of Harvick and Hamlin not having a win in your in scenario, but more emphasis on the regular season and points as a whole. I am all about everything better for the sport, making it better for the fan, which grows the sport and keeps the sport that we love in business and going. I say keep it the same, at least for next year. It's exciting the way it is. I am such a huge supporter of the location change of the championship from Phoenix back to Homestead, Miami. That is where the NASCAR championship belongs, in my opinion. That mile and a half truly embodies, or is at least the best medium of all the tracks that NASCAR races, and that creates a great product, racing product, that we would see every fall for a long time at Homestead, Miami. There are benefits to running the championship in Phoenix. Restarts, so exciting. Glad that track will be at least in the playoffs next year. I think it is a good playoff track. I'll be honest with you. Phoenix championship, I'm ready to move on from it. When there was rumors about going to Homestead for the championship race, I was so elated. All in all, Phoenix has created great championship moments and memories. Can't wait for that to continue next year at Homestead, Miami. Moving right along in discussions with Dave. Goodyear to debut new left side tires at the Cup Series playoff race at Martinsville. Goodyear is shaking things up for this weekend's Xfinity 500 Cup Series race at Martinsville. Officials say the new left side tire compound is designed to wear out a bit faster than we've seen in the past at the paperclip. That means we could see more tire fall off, and you know what that brings out? More strategy. We love that. The new left side tire comes from a Goodyear test held back in July at New Hampshire. As the right side tire, teams will be running the same setup they used earlier this year at Martinsville in March, and again this past New Hampshire in the playoffs. A couple of playoff teams, Christopher Bell, Joey Logano, took part in that New Hampshire tire test. Will that pay off or give them advantage? Bell's crew chief Adam Stevens said the extra track time could come in handy, even though there are some differences. New Hampshire is roughly twice the size of Martinsville, and the temperature this weekend will be much cooler than, of course, they were in July. Meanwhile, tire setups for Xfinity and the Truck Series will stay the same they've been since 2022. Nonetheless, wanted to touch upon the tire the Cup Series will be using on Sunday. Will it have any effects to the playoffs? We will sure see. Next topic, layout for San Diego Cup race in 2026 released. As we know, the Naval Base Coronado will host a street course next year in a one-of-a-kind 3.4-mile circuit featuring 16 challenging turns. Turn 5 cuts in between two docked aircraft carriers. That sounds like it's going to be awesome. And it gets better. Turn 14 races past the north end of an active military runway. The more I hear about the specifics about the San Diego Naval Road Course race, the more I get excited about it. Can't wait for the Naval Base Coronado Street Course in 2026. Last topic on discussions with Dave. We were talking last week was announced Justin Haley would be leaving Spire Motorsports. Wasn't expecting that at all. A lot of speculation and all eyes and fingers pointed towards everyone's amigo, Daniel Suarez. And that was announced today at 1. Daniel Suarez will officially drive the number 7 Cup car for Spire Motorsports in 2026. Since Trackhouse made the announcement that they would be splitting with Suarez after this year, a lot of speculation of where he would go. At that current moment, a top Cup Series seat wasn't there to be taken for Daniel. A lot of people thought he would race Junior Motorsports and full-time Xfinity. Daniel, we know the resume he has in the Xfinity Series. He won the Xfinity Series race in Mexico City this year. Seems like that could be yes, it's not Cup, but at least a good competitive car for Daniel. With the news of Spire last week saying they're going to part with Justin Haley, was not expecting that. Maybe I didn't have my ear closer to that one, but that one caught me by surprise. And of course, we're going to point and look towards Suarez, think he's going to take this ride, and that's what happened. I'm a fan of Justin Haley. He was really showing out in the Xfinity Series with Colleague, races their Cup car for a while, goes to Rick Ware, looks really good at Rick Ware, gets traded to Spire, thought that was going to be a partnership for a while. Just something didn't work out, and they decide to part ways. But if you're running a NASCAR team, Daniel Suarez, Justin Haley, I think 9 times out of 10, you're going to pick the more experienced Daniel Suarez. And look at the wins on Suarez's resume. Xfinity plus the Cup wins. I think you're going to choose him all day. Sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles in the sport. That wraps up this episode's edition of Discussions with Dave. Now for the drivers to look out for in Martinsville Truck Series. Brent Cruz. He has been so good in the trucks this year. He should have won at the Roval. He showed out at North Wilkesboro, a short track. Yes, that was halfway through the season and months ago. Expect a good finish from Brent Cruz. Brendan Butterbean Queen, the ARCA champ from this year's hopping in a truck, the 7 for Spire. Expect a good day from him. Grant Infinger wrecks out early in Dega. He's in a must-win scenario with being a playoff driver. What can Grant bring to the table for Martinsville? How desperate will he get at the end? Corey Heim, we know he's locked into Phoenix. Just can't talk about a truck race now without bringing up his name. Now, next, we'll talk about the 2 McAnally Hilgeman trucks, the 18 Tyler Ankrum, 19 of Daniel Hemrick. Hendrick won this race in the spring. He's going to need to win this race again if he wants to get to the championship 4 in Phoenix. Tyler Ankrum, he gets a top 5. He should secure that spot with his playoff points already. Lane Riggs, he's -6 going into Martinsville after leaving Talladega. Lane's going to be competing for this win, in my opinion. Caden Honeycutt, right now he's in that 4th and final transfer spot. He was really strong in Talladega. Can they continue that momentum to the short track? Casey Mears, who raced in the Cup Series for a number of years, will be in the 69 for Motorsports Business Management. Not sure how competitive they will be. Excited to see Casey in a truck nonetheless. Last but not least, veteran Matt Crafton announced earlier this year this would be his final full-time season at the Truck Series. Matt has multiple truck championships. What can the crafty veteran do in his second to last race? Now, Xfinity drivers to look out for Martinsville. Sheldon Creed. We know what Sheldon has gone through in this race, specifically in the past. I think the smooth operator in Creed will have a very competitive car come Saturday. Jesse Love. Just talking to him, the first episode we had this week, he's coming into Martinsville with a 40-point playoff buffer. Love should be competitive. Justin Allgaier, last year's champ and longtime Xfinity driver, as we know, gonna be up front. Brandon Jones, another one just like Creed that has gone through the ringer in the fall race at Martinsville before in the Xfinity Series. Austin Hill won last weekend at Dega. He's won at Martinsville before. What can Hill bring to the table? Taylor Gray. Taylor was so good in the Truck Series in Martinsville last year and gets moved out of the way by Christian Eckes, as we know at the end. Taylor got eliminated after the end of the round of 12. Expect at least top 10 day from Gray. Last but not least, Connor Zilich should be competitive as always. Now, drivers to look out for Martinsville Cup Series. The highest driver in points that hasn't locked himself into Phoenix yet is Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson, fall last year, finished 3rd. Kyle Larson, spring this year, finished 5th. Young Money Larson is one to look out for sure. Chase Elliott, keeping it in the Hendrick Motorsports stable currently. Chase was 4th here in the spring and was 2nd last year in the fall. Hendrick Motorsports is going to be bringing it. Don't count out William Byron from them as well. Moving right to Toyota. Denny Hamlin, Chase Briscoe, Christopher Bell. Those Gibbs cars should be competitive at the paperclip. Of course, can't forget Team Penske driver Ryan Blaney. He won the fall race last year to get himself into Phoenix. Saw how good he was in 2023. The year he won his championship, he was strong in Martinsville as well in the fall. 2 non-playoff drivers to look out for, Ross Chastain and Ryan Preece. Now for Paint Scheme of the Week, Part 2. Xfinity this time, Josh Williams back in the Alpha Prime car. Really cool paint scheme for Martinsville. Typically, Josh does. We saw Josh wear one time a Beetlejuice-inspired fire suit around the Halloween times. Cool scheme for Williams. Now, final 4 predictions going into Martinsville. First, with the Truck Series. Corey Heim already in. Raja Karuth, first time I'm saying this in the Truck Series playoff. I believe Raja Karuth will make it to Phoenix. Tyler Ankrum, as I was saying, the first episode this week, I was really hot on his teammate, Daniel Hemrick. Daniel Hemrick won in Martinsville in the spring. The 32-point deficit, I don't think Hemrick is going to be able to score both Martinsville wins this year in the trucks. I think Ankrum gets the 3rd spot. Lane Riggs is currently in the 6th position, but he's only minus 6 points out of making the cut line. Nonetheless, if Riggs doesn't win the race, I still think he gets that spot. I think he's going to have a really good chance to win that race, though. Final 4 predictions: Xfinity going into Martinsville. Connor Zilic, Justin Allgaier, Jesse Love, lock-ins. Of the drivers on the outside looking in, Brandon Jones and Sheldon Creed, in my opinion, have the best chances of winning this race. This is going to give away my prediction for Xfinity. I think Sheldon Creed gets it done in the 0-0 on Saturday and finally gets that elusive win he's been clawing and fighting for a number of years. I think he gets it in Martinsville, securing that last and final spot in Phoenix. Now, Cup. Final predictions for the final 4 going into Martinsville. Chase Briscoe, Denny Hamlin, we know, are locked in. Right now, Christopher Bell plus 37, Kyle Larson plus 36. Then you have Byron minus 36, Logano minus 38. All the drivers on the outside looking in, Byron, Logano, Blaney, and Elliott, they are in must-win scenarios. I just don't see one of those 4 walking away with the checkered flag on Sunday. Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson, in my opinion, get those final 2 spots. Now for Fast Davey's bets. Trucks, value-wise, the guy that won in the spring, Daniel Hemrick, is plus 1,200 to win, and short track king, Ty Majeski, is plus 500. Xfinity, Sheldon Creed, top 3. Take the win. If you're not sold on Creed, take the top 3, though. Hot on him. Cup, solid worth for top 5s for Bubba Wallace at plus 360 and for Ross Chastain at 320. Now, trivia answer time. This episode's question is, the first race ever at Martinsville was held in 1947. Who won that first race? Answer, early stock car racing driver Red Byron won the first race at Martinsville Speedway in 47. He later went on to win the track's first NASCAR Cup Series race held at the venue 2 years later. Now for the predictions for Martinsville. First with the trucks. Gimme Lane Riggs. I know I was saying he still can point his way in with solid stage finishes and think he can get in the top 3, not a problem. But Lane's not going to do that. He's going to walk away with the win, going into Phoenix with some good momentum. Xfinity, I just gave it away. In my final 4 predictions, I think Sheldon Creed gets that win. All the experience from the years of falling short here at Martinsville in the fall, I think pays off for Sheldon. Cup, Kyle Larson doesn't need to win to get locked in for Phoenix. I think he wins anyway. Kyle Larson is my pick to win on Sunday in Martinsville. Coming to the end of Splash of Gas, we are always sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, a.k.a. Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He will be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek and on-track updates. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are all Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Truly hope everyone has enjoyed all the content we have put out this week. Till next time, everybody, Splash of Gas out.